Good morning. Should you rent your property or should you own it? Which is better off for you and why do you make those decisions? My name's Adam Kahn and I'm the Rational Investor. Before I forget, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe. Feel free to make comments at any point. I have lots of opinions and I'm happy to argue any side of them. So there are a lot of guys on YouTube right now giving a lot of financial advice about renting or buying and which is better and which is worse. And I'm going to tell you, in my standpoint, it shouldn't be just a financial decision. That's part of the problem with the information shared and some of the things they get into. If you're buying your primary residence, the home that you live in, that shouldn't just be about your financial decision. That should be about if you're going to be there a long time. If you're still young and moving around and not sure where you're going to be in a year or two, my God, just rent. Don't worry about it. But if you have a family and you want security and you want a place to live, there's no reason not to buy, no matter whether the prices go up or go down or rates go up or go down, as long as you make a good financial decision and make sure that you're prepared for it. You know, I can make arguments for whether the market's going to go higher. I can make arguments as to whether the market's going to go lower right now. There's a lot of things going on. The economy's in this weird spot. So I would just suggest don't bite off more than you can chew. Make sure you're buying a home that's affordable. Make sure your job's secure so that you don't worry about it. I wouldn't press so hard that you're buying something that could put you in a financial strain. Now, I say that with anything. I mean, when I buy a stock, I try to think like it could drop down 50%. I try to stick with good, safe companies, but I still recognize I'm wrong a lot. So even when I buy something, maybe my timing's off. Maybe I miss something. Maybe the price goes down. So if I'm buying the house I'm going to live in, I think the same thing. I try not to think it's going to drop 50% value. And I don't really see that right now. So don't hear it the wrong way either. I think there's a lot of money on the sideline in these real estate trusts and these other large companies. They have a lot of cash that if we have a decent pullback, I think they're in the wings waiting to buy more residential property. I don't know whether we're going to go up or down, but if I were buying a house, I wouldn't be worried if it dropped 10, 20, 30%. That's not my big concern. I put my down payment down, I get comfortable with the payments, I make sure I can afford the electric, the heat, the gas bills, the water bills. If there's an HOA, like I do that analysis and I think it through based on the income I have coming in. And I want to make sure I have enough to still live so that I'm not what's called house poor. Period. There really isn't much more to it. And I think if you're going to be in a place for a long time and your family's there, my recommendation, now I'm not a financial planner, you guys need to make your own decisions. This is just my opinion, like really, is you want to own. The reason you want to own is if the market goes up, you want to be a part of it. And if you think you might want to upgrade in time, you actually want it to go down. So let's pretend for a second you buy a house for 300, let's call it $400,000, just because that seems to be about where the average price of a home is right now. But you really want to have a home that's 600,000. That's your dream home and you can afford it, but it's a bit of a stretch. Stick with the one at 400 and know that that's not where you always want to be. Put the down payment down, make sure your monthly payments are totally comfortable. Because if the market dropped 30%, well, 25%, right? That $400,000 home drops to 300. But so does the $600,000 home. It drops 25% as well. So while your home dropped from 400 to 300, that home dropped from 600 to 450 and is potentially more affordable now than it was before. And you can push up to that dream home and maybe you can rent out the other. Maybe you need to take a loss, like whatever you need to do to make that maneuver. You can now make it because it's closer to where you were before. As long as your job's secure and you've been saving the same way you were before, and so on and so on. It shouldn't matter which way the market goes. And then if the market goes higher, at least you've secured something that you're okay with while the market continues to go higher and higher, and you aren't not involved in the market. I mean that's how I feel about everything. I want to do it in a way that I'm still comfortable and I have my bills covered and everything else, but I want to buy stocks. I want to buy homes. I want to buy collectibles or things I like. I don't want to be so scared because there's a bunch of people on YouTube talking about, oh, the housing market's going to collapse, or oh, the stock market's going to collapse, or whatever. Maybe it does. Not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. Have opinions on that. But what I am saying is that's not a reason not to be involved in the market, because if they're wrong, boy, I'd hate to miss out on the up move. And if they're right, I'd like to be in the position to just add on to my positions and continue along with my life. I don't want to sit on the sidelines waiting for some big collapse. My brother has a story about a friend of his that back in 2010 they thought the stock market was overpriced, so they wanted to wait for a big correction to come. Well, they waited until COVID before there was a correction. So they waited over 10 years before getting involved and they just sat on the sidelines. I, I, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying don't sit on the sidelines. Don't let all these fear mongers make you scared of the markets too. They go up, they go down. That doesn't mean you want to not own things. Anyway, again, do me a favor, thumbs up, subscribe, like, chime in, let me know what you guys think. I say buy a home, not rent, because I don't know. I just don't want to rent. I want to have the security of where I'm going to live and be comfortable with where I am. I just make sure to stay in budget.